My name is Arda and this is my presentation on turn-taking patterns and question types. Let's get started. In this presentation, I will be talking about the traditional turn-taking and question types, questions within initiation response evaluation sequences, also called IRE sequences, differences between IRE and IRF sequences, individual differences in turn-taking, and non-traditional turn-taking. I will be giving a couple examples and we'll be talking about their meanings in this presentation. So let's get started with our first part, which is traditional turn taking. In a traditional classroom environment, interaction and evaluation is organized by the teacher, who will usually also do the most of the talking and asking questions. The pattern of authority is mostly driven by the IRE patterns between students and the teacher. This student-teacher dynamic can change depending on the subject, education system, and such elements. In a traditional classroom environment, like I said here, it's usually the teacher who is doing most of the talking and monitoring the classroom. But this can change from time to time depending on the subject, the system in class, what the teacher decides to do within that subject in that class. This dynamic between students and teachers is driven by these patterns of IRE systems, and it can change, like I said, depending on the subject, education system, and such elements. The availability of technology in the class, how students learn, their learning types, how the teacher likes to teach them about the class, what the subject requires the classroom to be like, and so on. Secondly, we have questions within IRE sequences. We mentioned two broad categories of these question types last week, which are non-answer questions that have certain and precise answers, and open-ended questions that don't seek a single right answer. These open-ended questions tend to be more conversational. They tend to strike a conversation and get the flow going in the class more often than the non-answer questions. An interactional contingency, or the potential of interaction to change our meaning, can reshape how these questions function. Uh, some examples of this interactional contingency are the teacher, as we can see from our example here, asks what time does school start, and the student that's late walking through the classroom door says, "I'm not tardy," which is not actually related to what the teacher asks the students, but the student gets another meaning from the intonation and meaning of this sentence uttered by the teacher. So he gives a answer that's related to that meaning the teachers aim to give. Or as we can see in the second example, the teacher asks, "Where are the crayons?" And the student says, "I didn't do anything with them." The teacher actually doesn't say anything about someone doing something with the crayons, but the student tries to, eliminate suspicion out of himself by saying, "I didn't do anything with them," indicating that there is a box of missing crayons, probably. Next, we have differences between IRE and IRF sequences. In the initiation response feedback format, which is also called the IRF format, the third turn, which is evaluation, is switched with feedback, which doesn't conclude the sequence but provides a feedback for the ongoing interaction, therefore connecting another sequence to it, which drives the class to be more, flexible, keeping the flow of the class going, not stopping in between these sequences. It connects everything to each other, making for a more flexible conversation between the students and the teacher. With this feedback turn, the teacher creates a framework for persistent participation. And some examples we can see on this are Your pictures are great. You can say your pictures are great. This is evaluation, but instead giving a feedback on this, you could say your pictures helped me enjoy your story. How did you think to include the little anchor? Uh, by asking a question, giving a feedback, you can, keep the conversation going, and it will be a very much wider conversation. The second example, we can see also that's correct. Instead, we can say that's correct. How did you get that answer? Uh, keeping what the student says going, and getting more ideas, more sentences, more, how can I say it? Yeah, letting the student speak more. Next, we have individual differences in turn taking. Some aspects of question sequences vary from person to person. Some students may take longer to answer, while others might jump in before the teacher even finishes their sentence. This may also change depending on whether the questions are open-ended or non-answer questions. Every student has their own different learning styles. Everyone thinks differently. Everyone works differently, and in a single classroom environment, there will of course be big or small differences between students and how they answer, how they think about the questions, how long they take, how much they take to think about these. And this makes variations of these waiting times from person to person. And of course, question types uh, absolutely change the time that the students take to think. They take their answers, how they get those answers, get those ideas, and so on. Next, we have non-traditional turn taking. Some common turn taking patterns are very familiar and predictable for some students. Being familiar with these patterns doesn't always mean the student will be learning more. Uh, there's this traditional classroom environment that the teacher asks questions, you answer that question, teacher asks more. Sometimes you don't understand something, you ask the teacher some questions. Changing what we're used to do in the classroom, and creating a more non-traditional classroom environment, changing the ways of teaching and learning, will make for some unpredictable new styles in class, therefore helping us learn more, learn differently, have this interest in class. As I said here, non-traditional classrooms may accommodate the unpredictable. In these interactions, different kinds of students who aren't comfortable with more traditional patterns may also be able to participate more. Uh, some students don't feel good. They don't really learn that well in these traditional ways of teaching that I just told you about. So changing those up a bit can help other students learn better, participate more, and it will create this diversity in class that will make more comfortable environments and better teaching classrooms. And this is all from me. Thank you for listening.